Welcome to the Fishbowl Radio, everybody. My name is Chief here, and joining me today is Juicy. We are going to be doing our LSU versus Florida preview here for the upcoming college football game for the LSU Fighting Tigers down there in Baton Rouge. How you doing today, Juicy?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing very good. Um, we got to talk about it. Uh,
Do we have to?
yeah, we have to. What happened? What in your mind happened in the LSU versus Alabama game, Juicy?
More like what didn't happen. But well, we talked about it the other day. For starters, they couldn't run the ball. Like that old Jim Morris, like that old Jim Moore interview. Couldn't run the ball. Couldn't throw the ball. Couldn't get the first down. Joking. But no, it's just the running game's killing them. The defense is staying out on the field too long. Um, Nussmeyer's having to throw the ball a lot because they can't run the ball, and it does risk putting the ball in an interception more. It's just a combination of things. Um, the defense was looking better, but they are dealt a tough task trying to stay on the field so long. But if you ask me, the main thing is there's no balance in the offense. That's got to be the key issue that's killing them. That and the turnovers.
A simple phrase that could describe what happened on Saturday was if you don't have offensive balance, you can't keep the defense off of you. Is that you just have to, and you just have to learn how to do it here. So they're getting a Florida team that's coming off they're on a 2-game losing streak right now. They lost last weekend to Texas 49-17 here. LSU, coming off 2 losses themselves here. So both these teams are kind of in the same element, would you say, at least here, because of just the situation that they're both in right now. But I do see some problems for this LSU defense into this game here. They've been on the field way too long, and that is a problem that we're just gonna have to deal with here if you're an LSU fan at this point, because if your defense stays out there too long, it's going to really hurt teams. So that's a problem that needs to be addressed here. So, but part of the LSU's defense is they have not been able to stop a mobile quarterback so far this year. It burned them against Texas A&M, and it burned them again against Alabama. Now, granted, partially because of that could be the fact that your defense is out there on the field for a very long time because your offense can't sustain drives. I mean, they don't have no offensive balance like we talked about before, but this is part of the problem that LSU has been facing for the majority of the year here. So that is something LSU's got to address, and they're going to have to look at and see here. You don't have Harold Perkins. You don't have that sideline to sideline linebacker defender out there anymore for the rest of the season. That's been hurting LSU here. It looks like they have the teams that they've kind of figured it out here lately on how to stop LSU's offense and how to be able to be aggressive on LSU's defense and attack them in different ways. They're giving them multiple looks and stuff. But having a running game would really help LSU. And I'm gonna come out and say it. I don't think LSU's offensive line is one of the best lines in the country. I don't think they are anymore. I think in the preseason, then when we came into it here, they were supposed to be a top 10 unit. I haven't seen it so far this year here because if you're a good offensive line, you typically have a really good running game here. A lot of what your offensive line does predicates offensive success here, and I have not seen this with this LSU football team so far this year. What you think, Juicy?
You hit the nail on the head, man. I can't refute any of that. It hasn't gelled like we thought. We thought, when they went on that 6 game win streak, they even beat Ole Miss. It looked like it was finally coming together, but then the wheels fell off, and it really started in the second half against Texas A&M. LSU hasn't played good football since the first half of that A&M game. I mean, like you said, they were supposed to be the most experienced, one of the best offensive lines in the country. The center, the center, a few times let Alabama linebacker run right by him untouched this weekend.
Yeah, lack of awareness. That is something that I see routinely with this offensive line here. Now, granted, is it the players? Is it the offensive line coach? Because I mean, you look at this here, like, what is the problem with
Hello,
both both these teams here? Wait, what you see?
I lost you for a second.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. What you were saying?
No, I didn't hear what you were saying.
Oh, I was talking about lack of awareness of the offensive line, like false start penalties multiple times on the road against A&M, killing their own drives. That's part of a problem. The lack of awareness, like you mentioned, the center, like he was looking one direction, and then this inside linebacker blitz just goes right by him, and you're wondering, like, you obviously could have like seen him. That wasn't like something that you would have been like, all right, he's right here coming. I know he's right here before the snap. Is he dropping back into coverage, or is he coming in like, is he the Mike linebacker coming in on a blitz here? Granted, that could be a problem. A center's got to be able to identify that before the snap here.
I don't think
Watch,
he was
like,
the starting. I don't think he was the starting center though. But
but still, they kind of teach that stuff though. It's the next man up
that is
mentality. You
true.
got to be ready to go.
That is true.
That you have to be willing to know what your assignments are and what the details are of your tasks, of your role in your football team. If you don't know what your role is of your football team, then you're hurting other players that know what their role is too. I'm not completely just blaming him for the whole thing. LSU's offensive line's got all kind of like messy little deals with it going on here. Are these problems fixable? Yes, they're very much fixable. It's not a big deal too much, but in like November, right now, is you're supposed to be playing close to championship football, but you're seeing LSU coming into November. They haven't won a game yet in November yet, right now, from what I can see here. I might be no, actually I
Though
think I'm right. They haven't won a game in November yet.
though the schedule does look slightly more favorable for them.
November not okay, yeah, because they did. Yeah, they're going on the road to Gainesville, Florida. DJ Lagway, who I think's questionable for this game against LSU, but I've heard that he's actually going to be playing. We'll have to see how that goes here. And Billy Napier, very familiar with him. We covered him multiple times here on the Fishbowl over the years of coming back here in the like 2020 season up until now. We've gotten back into that there, but and what he did at Louisiana as a coach here. So he knows how to use a mobile quarterback very well, and that is something that really helps you out a lot in the college game. Is having a mobile quarterback for sure there, but looking at that there is something that you're just gonna have to look at and see what's going on there because I think with DJ Lagway, if he's out there, you're gonna have to put a spy out on there here. Do you have the athlete that can run sideline to sideline to defend against a mobile quarterback? Does LSU have that linebacker? What do you think, Juicy?
Oh, I mean, don't. I mean, if we're technically speaking, I mean, LSU does have it. I mean, LSU's loaded with talent, loaded with studs on that defensive side. It's just a matter of executing it. But oh no, I mean, technically speaking, I'm sure they could run sideline to sideline with anybody. It's just a matter of actually making it happen.
Yeah, what like you think I know losing Harold Perkins was a big loss here, obviously. But yeah, Weeks has played well. Like we've talked about them not being able to. A lot of problem with LSU's defense is not really their problem with their defense. I think the problem with their defense is the fact they just don't rest. They can't rest them because they have the lack of a running game is the main reason why LSU is having such bad problems this year. and the lack of a running game is either the core root of the problem with either the lack of the running game is either it's either the offensive line not run blocking very well, and lack of discipline and lack of awareness of what's going on out there in the football field, or two, they just don't have the backs and explosiveness out of there, which I don't believe that one because it's, Kate Durham has had some really good games where he's ran very well. And then there's times, so I think it's the offensive line is honestly what I think the problem is with LSU right now.
I don't know why Cade Durham ain't played more lately. I ain't heard his name a lot lately either.
I think that's still, but let's start getting into like how these teams compare against each other and see how all that's going on. LSU so far here, like we talked about, very good at passing the football. Very much so. They're seventh in the country in pass and rushing. Like we talked about, they can't run the football. Defensively, they're 74th running and 64th pass. Now, looking at that, if you're and you like defense, 68th in the country on offense. But if you really look at it, rushing burns clock, right? In college football, the clock runs if you
That is right.
don't get a first down. It burns. Defense will be out there shorter, which in the meantime will mean they'll be more rested when you get into these second half games. Because if you look at that Alabama game, it didn't get ugly till the second half of the game. That's when the defense was just wore out by that point. So that's part of it
Yeah, it
here
was
now.
actually kind of. It was pretty competitive for the first half.
Yeah, like it was competitive in the first half of the game. The second half of the game, the defense got gassed, and that's what happens there. Now, as far as Florida goes, they're 70-30 running the football and 60-second passing, 74th in the country in offense, 95th against the run on defense, and 91st against the pass here. So LSU will have some success in the air against Florida. Now, granted, Florida doesn't really have a great offense because they just don't stay out there on the field that much here. Which Florida, honestly, they won more games than a lot of people gave them credit for this year. Granted, it is a 4-5 so far, but they won against Kentucky, they won against UCF, Mississippi State, and Sanford. That's their 4 wins right now.
Oh, nothing real impressive there though.
Yeah, I mean, then you have, but they're giving them 3 wins. A lot of people are out there saying they're going to only win 3 games this year, and I'm like, okay, that's kind of crazy. But they do have a number 22 LSU, number 11 Ole Miss, and they wrap it up against at Florida State. So Florida's schedule, they'll probably get the 5 wins. I think they would end up beating Florida State, but the LSU one, I think, is now more of a toss-up game in my opinion here because of the fact of how LSU has played um, recently. That's gotten me a little bit nervous about picking them to win this football game against Florida. Anything you can say to change my mind, Juicy, about this being a toss-up game?
Well, at least LSU's got better. I could say I don't think LSU's. Let's just put it like this: LSU's got their problems, but I don't think it's like that bad to where. I mean, I just can't see LSU losing this game, but I do think it might. I'm with you. It might be a toss up. I mean, it could. I guess I could see it being a toss up. I think it'll be a little bit closer than what we want it to be, but I just don't see LSU losing to Florida. I think they kind of get back on track here.
Yeah, it's so Vegas has LSU as 3.5 point favorites. Which, if you would have been 2 weeks ago before the Texas A&M game, this is probably a 14-point spread. Now, given what we saw, recency bias and everything else, um, I I think LSU wins this by 7. I'm gonna go with 7 because I just don't feel confident in this offense to just. I think they'll win on the passing game here, but Nussmeier has been making more mistakes here because he's probably pressing as a quarterback. I know a lot of people want to blame Garrett Nussmeier for all the problems LSU's got going on right now, but you got to look at this stuff a little bit deeper. about what's going on here, it's definitely the offensive line, and that's the biggest issue I think LSU is facing because a great offensive line can make an average running back look great.
Mm-hmm.
Run blocking 5 yards from where that line of scrimmage is at, you're getting a pretty good gain right there as a running back. You know, if you got them beat off the ball by 5 yards and you pushing them guys back, you know you're setting up. You got a big run coming ahead from that running back there. So that's something. I got LSU beating Florida by 7. What you thinking, Juicy?
I'm thinking about 10 points.
Okay, going a little bit higher than me. All right, cool.
I just didn't want to have the same as you.
You trying to? So you were thinking 7, huh?
Yeah, but I just didn't want to be the same, so I just said 10.
Okay, all right. Hey, it's okay to be the same sometimes. We can agree. But there's something we need to talk about here. I've been seeing multiple people say that LSU is not dead for the college football playoff. If
They're
three of the
not
favorites,
actually
yeah,
mathematically. They're not.
uh, if three of the favorites win,
No,
LSU
if
has some kind
all
of
the
crazy way of getting to the SEC championship.
actually, I seen it earlier. If all the favorites win in the SEC games the rest of the weeks of the season, and Arkansas upsets Missouri, then LSU's playing the winner of A&M and Texas for the SEC championship game.
I
Actually,
could definitely see Arkansas beating Missouri. I don't think that's
so
even like a really a
if that
debate on
all
that one.
so if that all falls into place, then LSU mathematically still in this thing.
I just don't see. Man, that would put them in SEC championship game, which they would have to win that one, right?
Yep.
Whew. But championship game is going to be a tough one for LSU to get to the SEC championship game.
So it's not. If the favorites all win, it's actually not. You would actually not consider it not that far fetched if LSU wins out.
Man, that Vanderbilt game is going to be a tough one anyway. We didn't think that way going into the season though, because the way
No,
Vandy has played this year. Uh,
they've even played. They've almost even beat Texas too.
so yeah, like that one, I think that was definitely more of a toss up than this Florida game is for next week. But I'm gonna go with LSU. I think they'll win by 7. I think that's the way it's gonna be. I just don't. As far as the other games go, like Oklahoma at the end of the year, we're kind of like not really talking too much about Oklahoma, but Oklahoma's not having the best of year so far, so it's gonna be tough on them to. I think LSU's gonna have a tough time getting into the playoff, regardless of how we do this or not. I just don't see LSU making it. It would just be having everything would have to break right for them. That Alabama game, when we look back at it, was definitely the elimination game for LSU and Alabama, and I think LSU got eliminated because of Alabama. I think that's what this 2024 season has taught us basically this year. Now the question is going to become: can Brian Kelly get the 10 wins? Yeah, I mean, his first 2 years, he had 10 wins here at LSU. Is it too much? Is it too much asking of him to do that? So, Juicy, you ready to make some picks?
Let's do it.
All right. Let's see. This is week 12. Week 12 here. Let's see. Did I hit the button? Yep. It's week 12 game pick. Let's start looking at this here. We got number 2 Ohio State taking on Northwestern here. Juicy, who you got in that game?
The Buckeyes.
You got the Buckeyes. So I got Ohio State winning this one here. They're heavily favored by 29 points. I just don't see Northwestern going to pull this one off here. Give me the Ohio State Buckeyes to beat uh this game here. Hold on a second. I just realized something. That's Sunbelt. I hit the wrong button. My bad. Look, we got the right graphic now. We have the right graphic. Let's fire the
Look, now,
graphics guy over here. Get him off the air.
if you have one job, sir, and you can't do
Get
it.
get him off the air. He sucks. But yeah, so number 3 Texas taking on Arkansas. I got Texas winning this one. This should be a good game though. This is actually a very olden old rivalry that doesn't really get played too much, but will get played
Southwest,
on.
old Southwest Conference.
Yeah, the old Southwest Conference days. I got Texas though. Who you got, Juicy?
I'm gonna go with Texas.
We will see that rivalry happen more often now because they're both in the same conference. Utah take on number 17 Colorado. Before we get to the pick, Juicy, what you think about Deion Sanders stepping in if Shador gets drafted by the wrong NFL team?
Like, wait, trying to go be coach an NFL team?
No, like the step in and say, oh, like kind of like what Eli Manning did when the
Oh
Chargers
yeah,
drafted him.
like the Eli Manning situation. I feel like you should let them. I don't know. I feel like that's overstepping as parents. Like they're grown men. Like let them make up their mind if they don't want to be there. I feel like they shouldn't be stepping into that. But that's just me.
I kind of feel the same way you do. I do have Colorado winning this one though. What you think of Juicy?
Colorado, unfortunately, I don't think is gonna win this game.
Number 20 Clemson versus Pitt. Both teams come in there 7-2. 11.5 point favorites is Clemson. Give me the Tigers of Clemson. I think they will pick up the win over Pitt. What you think of Juicy?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Clemson.
Number 25 Tulane taking on Navy here. So now the Cajuns themselves are receiving votes here. This is a game I will be paying close attention to on Saturday because of the fact that this is going to be a make or break kind of. Well, not a make or break here. Someone's getting their playoff hopes kind of killed here. I'm gonna be pulling for Navy to win this game here, but I don't think they will. I think Tulane's gonna beat Navy here. What you thinking, Juicy?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Tulane. I'm hoping that it works out for UL and they pull it off, but I think Tulane's
The
gonna.
big domino in that whole entire thing is Boise State. That's the domino that every Cajun fan's gonna be watching. Mercer taking on number 10 Alabama. I got Alabama winning that one pretty handily. What you thinking, Juicy?
Alabama.
Number 4 Penn State taking on Purdue. Give me the Nittany Lions. The Big Ten has just been on a roll basically for the college football playoff records here. So give me Penn State.
Penn State.
Virginia taking on number 8 Notre Dame. Now Notre Dame's going to be in this playoff. It's looking like here if they keep winning. But give me Notre Dame to win against Virginia. What you think of Juicy?
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. I got Notre Dame.
Boston College taking on number 14 SMU. SMU is just like sitting right there, and they're not. No one's really talking too much about SMU here. I like SMU this year. I think they got a pretty good ball club here. Right now they're one of the first two out, I think, or first out or something like that. They're on that bubble area right there, and they need a little bit of help here. So
They still got a chance. I mean,
they got that
I mean,
ACC title game.
everybody forgets they're in the ACC now. So
Yeah, they got that ACC title game they're waiting on here. Like if they would be up there against Miami, that'd be a really good thing for them. But Miami still, I mean not Miami. ACC got divisions. I still think, huh?
yeah,
So I got
they still got the
SMU.
divisions.
I got SMU beating Boston College. What you think of Juicy?
I'm thinking SMU.
Number 19, Louisville taking on Stanford. I have Louisville beating Stanford. What you think of Juicy?
I got Louisville.
The weird thing about this one is this is actually an ACC game, believe it or not.
I know that's the crazy thing though.
Now, this one here is interesting here because I think the Cajuns will get ranked after this game here because of this somebody has to lose. Number 23, Missouri taking on number 21, South Carolina. Give me the Gamecocks of South Carolina. I got them winning this one. What you thinking, Juicy?
Yeah, I got the Gamecocks as well. They look uh, pretty good at times.
Number 13, Boise State taking on San Jose State. Please, I'm gonna put it out into the universe here. This is a desperate move. I don't actually, my mind is telling me don't do this, but I'm putting it out there. San Jose State is going to upset Boise State this weekend.
Oh man, I don't know what got into you, but
Prayer for the
uh,
week. Okay, that I literally
you
hope in a
sticking
prayer
with
for this
that,
week.
huh? You still thinking that, even though you don't really believe that. Well, I'm gonna disagree with you. I think Boise State wins.
Look, I'm picking against Boise State the next 3 weeks. Hopefully, some bad juju goes that way.
I don't blame you, but
Arizona,
Ashton Jenny looks good, and I don't think he's
yeah.
gonna get stopped this
Ar-
weekend.
the most likely team to beat Boise State is going to be Colorado State in the Mountain West championship game. Probably that's the team I see that could potentially beat Boise State the most out of
That's your
everybody
hope.
left. That's the most likely one if we're doing predicting odds and stuff. But Arizona State taking on Kansas State here, number 16. Kansas State. Give me Kansas State. I think they'll beat Arizona State. What you thinking, Juicy?
Yeah, I got Kansas State as well. Not really
The
a
only team,
close
the
one.
only team that has beaten Boise State this year, number one, Oregon, taking on
And they barely
Wisconsin.
beat them. And they barely
Yes,
beat
by a
them.
field goal. Believe it or not, that's crazy. Give me Oregon. I think they're the better team. I think they'll beat Wisconsin pretty handily. What you think of Juicy?
Yeah, I got Oregon. I think 13.5 is pretty conservative there.
Number 7, Tennessee, taking on number 12, Georgia. Georgia's favored by 9.5 points,
Ooh,
and Vegas is going
man.
to be wrong. I'm predicting an upset. Tennessee's going to beat Georgia.
I am going to disagree. I think Georgia's gonna. Well,
Okay.
well,
Oh,
hold on. I think I might. I think you might be on to something because I just remembered Carson Beck has been playing about as bad as Nussmeier's been playing lately. Nussmeier's thrown 7 turnovers the last 2 weeks, and Beck's thrown 5 of them. I think in the last.
yeah. Well, actually, Beck has the most turnovers in SEC, and turnovers
And
are a big momentum shift in the game.
Nussmeier's right behind him in
And
second.
Nussmeier's number 2 in right now.
Yeah. So give me. I think I'm gonna go with. I think I'm gonna go with Tennessee instead.
Yep. Tennessee. New Mexico taking number 15 to A&M. Texas A&M is going to win this one. What you thinking,
Yeah,
GC?
A&M's gonna win.
Washington State taking on New Mexico. Now, this one's actually very interesting in terms of the college football playoff race. Now, remember, we said top 5 highest ranked conference champions. Now, um, there's a weird tidbit about this here. So, the Pac 12 is not really a conference, if you will. They don't have 8 full-fledged members. I mean, 8. I think it's either full-fledged or football. I think it's full-fledged to be considered a conference in the eyes of the NCAA and that sanctioning body. So the
But I think one of them. I think a team from there can still get in though with the right circumstances.
yeah, they have to be an at-large, if anything, because they're not technically a conference. They're gonna be a conference next year again because technically they died basically, and then they're coming back. That's what is going on right
Coming
now.
back as the Pac-12 again, or
They got a bunch of Mountain West teams going jump over. That's the latest realignment. Boise State's going to be in there. Colorado
what's the Boise
State.
State? They'll be in a
There's a
major
there,
conference.
like I said, a bunch of realignment going on. So, I think Washington State does beat New Mexico. What you thinking, Juicy? Juicy, you still there?
State.
Okay.
I got the Cougars.
Um, Kansas taking on number 6 BYU. They got 2.5 point favorites for BYU. I think that's a
Maybe
little bit
Vegas must
weird.
know something we don't know.
Yeah, they must, but they got BYU favored by 2.5.
I think that's a little conservative myself.
That's really conservative, I think. Give
BYU
me
look
BYU
pretty
by
good.
10. I think BYU by 10. What you thinking, Juicy?
I think BYU by about 17.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So yeah, we picked all the top 25 games for the week here. Some SEC teams that we don't really talk about too much. Kentucky taking on Murray State. LSU basketball. Uh, they play tonight. Against. We're gonna give y'all a update right now. LSU is leading right now over Kansas State right now, 61-48. So that is kind of a little bit of a shocker, if you will. Here they still playing. They got 6 minutes and 15 seconds here left in the second half. Here, LSU has their winning percentage right now of the game is 98.4%. Um, so LSU they are looking very good here. So let's see, 6-3-50 right now, 13-point lead for LSU with 5:59 left to go. So what you think about LSU basketball so far, Juicy? I know they've only played. This is their third game, but what you thinking so far?
Well, it's been wait, we're talking about men or women?
Men,
I'm
we'll do
sorry.
men, then we'll talk about women.
Well, I haven't really, honestly, I haven't. Be honest, I haven't followed much, but I heard they've been doing pretty well. Let me go look at their thing actually while I'm right here. I haven't.
Did this thing not? Oh, it's got it by days. That's why. That's why this thing's all tripped out here. Friday. So yeah, LSU women they play Murray State tomorrow. I think they're gonna win that one. The number seven or 3-0. So far, LSU women so far have played not really any high marquee matchups here. Atlanta
It's hard to
Charleston.
really judge how the I see the men are 2-0 and probably gonna be 3-0, but it's hard to really judge how they really
Yeah,
look so
right now
far.
it's November. It's way early in the season. You still got to get role players. By the time we hit the January in conference play, you're gonna know more about a basketball team anyway. Here, the first 2 months of the season is really just like who's got the hot hand. Try to like figure out what your lineup's gonna be because the conference is really gonna be how it is. But this would be a good win for LSU if they end up keep holding this on against Kansas State here. It's currently 5:09 left to go in the second half. Well, 4:47 left to go in the second half right now. LSU just scored right there, 67-52 um, on Kansas State. So it's looking like LSU is going to be able to hold on to pick up the win against Kansas State tonight. Uh, right now, leading
Yeah,
67
LSU
52.
women haven't really played nobody
Yeah, they
either.
haven't
I
they
mean,
haven't played anybody yet. So this is LSU basketball's like biggest game so far. And they'll play Charleston Southern next Tuesday. Then they got Pitt, and then you got Northwestern State right after that. In December, you got Florida State, Florida Gulf Coast University right after that. And Sunday, 12-8, then SMU, Stetson, New Orleans, and Mississippi Valley State will wrap up their non-conference. You got Vanderbilt tipping off conference play for LSU basketball here. So yeah, look, it's gonna be a lot going on. Like they're gonna try to figure out what these players are gonna what position they need to be in and stuff. So if you're looking at the women here and you're trying to see what they got going, they got Murray State, Troy, Tulane, Washington's gonna be the big one in November. That it's gonna have a couple of eyeballs on that one here. Look at Joel. Uh, so in December, the biggest game in December for LSU is going to be that number 24 Stanford game. That's the SEC ACC Challenge on December the 5th. That's going to be ESPN2 here. So that's going to be their biggest game in December for LSU. And then they got their conference schedule in January. So a lot's going to happen between, now and January. We're going to learn more about these teams as they get down this road here. And we could find out who the actual, who's coming along. This is a time to really find out who your role players are going to be in basketball and stuff and to see how this goes here. So it's going to be very important to figure that out for LSU as we go deeper and deeper into the schedule and stuff.
that's right.
All right, Juicy, anything you want to say before we get off here?
No, I think that's it, man. we're not really gonna dive into basketball just yet too much
Yeah,
right now.
it's a very small sample size. I don't really typically like going too much into the sample sizes here. I mean, you could look at the stats and stuff, and you can see LSU shot very well in their first couple of games, both men and women, from the floor. But like, look, it's hard to even tell, dude, that what's going on there. So, because like they haven't played anybody. Like this is the game that Kansas State they're shooting the ball very well. Might have a turnaround year, but I'm holding off on saying like this is a turnaround year until we get to conference play because that is your peers and how you the one that you're really going to compete against, and they know the most about you.
I agree.
All right. Thank y'all for tuning in here to this episode here of the Fishbowl Radio. Like us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We TikTok. We do this because this is a very it's a nice little hobby to have here. So we'll see what happens. But thank y'all for tuning in. And we hope you have a great and wonderful day. And we'll see y'all here next time on the Fishbowl Radio. Have a good night, Fishbowl Nation.